Welcome back to another episode with Jarrett Thomas, Chief Revenue Officer at Outside the Box Digital. And you know I got my brother, my brethren, your favorite CEO, Chadeo. What's good, baby?
I'm hurting.
What's goody? This shit is like the playoffs. Everything hurts.
Today was leg day. You know, now I understand why men walk around looking like motherfucking lollipops, man.
Whoa.
You know what I'm saying? Whoa.
Yo, men walking around like lollipops is nuts. I hate it.
That's not nuts. Niggas be looking like that, bro, man. Pop. What else do you call it?
I ain't like the tone on the intro. We just starting the show, God.
I'm just saying, bro, because leg day is real, B. Like, leg day is real, man. Like, this is why most guys, man, don't matter where you work out, how you work out, man. The upper body's always developed and the fucking legs look like string beans, man. Because look, already on Instagram, they like, the SpongeBob SquarePants. Thank you very much. Instagram, the SpongeBob SquarePants look. It's nasty, bro.
It is nasty.
Because I ain't gonna lie, ladies and gentlemen, I almost had a gym fail moment. I'm not gonna lie. I was on a squat rack, went down, came up, tried to reclip it on the safeties, and missed the safety. Went to walk away, and that shit came down. Oh no, it's time to go. Time to go.
Oh,
I ain't gonna lie. So it's nasty. I don't know, man. I'll be honest with you, man. Push-ups and dips all day. I don't know if I'm working these legs no more.
You already know, man. Shout out to the Instagram. Shout out to all the communities, man. Shout out to the LinkedIn community, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. Shout out to all of y'all, man. We growing and glowing every week. We again, man, over 20,000 on YouTube this week. We're over 80. We're pacing for 85,000 this month, y'all. Subscribers is going up, downloads, impressions, all that, man. We do it for y'all. We put a lot to give y'all the best content possible. And we appreciate all the support, man. Keeps us going, man. Keeps us giving you high value guests like we about to introduce. You know what I mean? And also, before we begin, shout out to our distribution partners, the Live Podcast Network. So if you want more content from Black content creators like More Than the Title, make sure y'all scan the QR code. All of your subscriptions go half to the content creators. So make sure it's the first Black-owned, women-owned podcast network in the world. Shout out to Angel Levis and the entire team. Make sure y'all support. There's not too many networks giving it up like that for the creators. You did?
And I want to just say something too. Be clear, like when we promote this network, Boss Lady's on her deem. When I say her deem, she's on her goddamn deem. She never sits still. We just had a conference meeting the other day about some new technology and some new partnerships that she's trying to bring to the network. She's always striving to, give the users. It's all about the users the best possible experience, and that's why we promote it the way we do, man. And we're proud to be a part of the Alive Network, man. What a time to be alive.
Message.
I almost wasn't because the fucking squat rack almost killed me earlier, but we're gonna get past that.
We're gonna get through it.
Let's start the show.
Let's get it going. First of all, let's give some context. First of all, we met this brother about 2-3 years ago, actually at the Art of Storytelling. We went down to meet our brother Walt Gear, man, who you guys seen on the show several times, and we had a great experience. I wish I had the picture put up on the joint, but we had a great experience. It was Dre, it was his brother here, it was Lola, and it was just a lot of great marketing minds, and we was just networking. I've been wanting to get this brother on, and we're honored to have him on. But this brother is the Executive Vice President, Executive Creative Director at Razorfish, which is part of the Publicis Network, which is a major agency. Aside from his journey, his roots is from Honduras to the streets of Brooklyn, nothing short of remarkable. As a designer turned creative powerhouse, he's led teams delivering groundbreaking work for clients like Verizon, Audi, many more. His belief that design transcends language and serves as a universal connector has driven him to push creative boundaries and deliver campaigns that resonate on a global scale. With multiple industry awards under his belt, like the Cannes Creative Effectiveness Alliance Award, with his work for American Express Open, his impact on the advertising world is undeniable. And beyond his professional success, he's also a passionate advocate for diversity, equity, and inclusion in the industry, and also the co-founder of Blackweek, which is a longtime DE&I advocate. This brother, let's introduce our man, Executive Vice President at Razorfish, Adan Romero. You dig? Woo, my boy got the catalog.
That was
the
crazy.
Catalog. You got the Con Lion, the Effectiveness. You got the American Express.
That was crazy.
I need that soundbite. I need that soundbite to follow me around. That's a confidence boost. I feel good.
Nah, man, you earned that, brother. You earned it. Come on, man.
Yeah.
That's what these stories is about, man. We're proud of you, bro. We're proud to celebrate you. You know
what I'm saying? Man, I appreciate it, man. Like I said, it was great meeting y'all that night, but also just watching your journey, you know, with you know, taking it from concept to going and glowing and glowing and glowing and blowing up, and just like, yo, congrats on on all the things you've been doing, on your outcomes of all the work that you've been putting in. It's just, yo, we're seeing, we're watching, we're noticing, and you know, we're all in support, man. It's beautiful to see it.
That's real, man. That means a lot, bro. That means a lot, man. Like, I ain't gonna keep it alive, man. We had a dollar and a dream, baby. but once again, like what we said off camera, it was the fact that what we've been through. Because your story, you know what I mean, is incredible. We don't have these platforms. We have Ad Age, we have Ad Week, we have some of those bigger platforms, and our story doesn't necessarily resonate on a larger scale with some of those audiences, right? I want to know what it's like with you. Now, you come in with the hat, the hoodie, you know what I'm saying? How you got into corporate America, how you navigating them spaces. We need to know that.
It wasn't easy, man. It wasn't easy. Like you say, like these platforms, and I mean, this environment, these platforms, they're made for a certain type of individual, and that type of individual doesn't look like us, doesn't walk like us, doesn't talk like us. And you know, it just, for me, I got into this industry as a freelance graphic designer, and I was just known as a hitter from agency to agency to agency to agency. I would just make everything look good. You know, then I got that bug, I got that bite, sort of from the pitching process, where I can come up with the ideas themselves. I can ideate, I can impact the ideas. I was like, shit, this is kind of dope. And I got thrown into a pitch. Day one, I got thrown into a pitch. You know, fast forward 3 weeks, we won that pitch. And I was like, yo, this is an infection I have now. Like, I want it all the time. So I went, you know, I always believed that I was going to be a 75, 80-year-old designer, just chilling at home designing. But then this CD bullshit hit, and now I wanted to be the one coming up with the ideas. I wanted to get in front of clients and pitch them. I wanted to show them the energy and everything that I brought to the table. So it's just been a while. It's been a road. Wow. But, you know, for me, getting into this industry from a freelance position allowed me to move around freely without the risk of a background check. Because I'll get into it further. You know, like I was born in Honduras. I grew up in Brooklyn, and like old Brooklyn, not new Brooklyn, you know.
The real. Now, the Brooklyn real still too, though. Yeah, some parts.
Yeah, they were, you know, but there was no artisanal mayonnaise shop back then.
Yeah.
Like Brooklyn is Brooklyn. There's still some places that feel real Brooklyn. You know, Sparks and Bed-Stuy, fuck around and find out. But there's, you know, it's real. But what Brooklyn had at that time, and what Brooklyn sort of put in me, was that idea of community. You know where you were, you know what blocks you were supposed to go on, you know what blocks you weren't supposed to, you know where you're supposed to go, and you know where you're not supposed to be. And when shit happens to you, is because you weren't supposed to be there. But you know,
that's real.
Those are just like sort of the unspoken borders that we had growing up in New York.
Yeah.
But you know, and like, it's just, I learned how to move, and growing up in New York, of course, we all get into some shit, and I got into some shit. So in 1994, I went to prison for 4 years. Shit. Yeah, man. And when I came home, I tried to sort of figure out what I'm going to do, but I taught myself Illustrator, Photoshop, Flash. I taught myself how to design websites. I was going door to door to the furniture stores, to gyms. I was telling them, yo, I'll do your website. I'll do your advertising. I'll do this. I'll do that. So I was doing a bunch of work for free just so I can have shit in my portfolio that's real. Because I didn't have the luxury of going to school and having like a portfolio class and do this, do that. I had to hit the bricks and just figure out like how to hustle. So, you know, I was going, like I said, I was going to furniture stores because I was working at a furniture store. I was like, fuck it, I can hook you up. I can hook up a website. I know how to do this shit. And then, you know, I met a couple of cats at BET that they were sort of producers. They were producing shows there. So I helped them with their personal websites. And, you know, people kept talking about me. And I got sort of an opportunity to go work at this agency called agency.com back in the day. So if you know anything about agency.com back in the day, like it was, you know, this was the first agency that really banked on all digital before everybody. They were like, this shit, digital is going to be the wave of the future.
So they were like the first full service digital.
Yeah. And it was digital boot camp I'm talking about. It was just the best of the best of the best sitting with them. So I got in there as a freelancer, and these cats gave me a job offer in 2 weeks. It's like, fuck. So I just kept going with them, staying with them. At the time, though, they just like they let me ride with it. But then I got my first bite when I left there, and I went to this agency, and I lied about, you know, my background. I lied about not going to prison, and then when they found out, I was out of there. And so that fucking put me sort of on the back foot. And then I had to figure out, like, how do I make a life for myself? And at the time, I got a young family. I got 3 baby daughters. I got a wife. I got to figure out.
Shit's real.
So now I'm faced with the fact that anytime my name shows up anywhere, I can lose everything. So I went back to just playing in the shadows and just like, I will shine. I will let you shine. I'll make you shine. Do not put my name on shit. Don't get me involved. Don't put my name on awards. Don't do nothing. So most of my career I spent in the shadows. And it was
white labeling your service. So for those listening, that's white labeling, giving his work, somebody else putting a name on it because he don't want to risk, you know, he's trying to de-risk the work. You don't want it to come back on you, but you're still monetizing the work though, right?
Yeah. You know, I have a reputation within the industry, but I don't have a reputation outside the industry. Like, you know, Cannes Lion don't know who I am, but I got 3 Cannes Lions. I got sort of a creative effectiveness award, which if you only get that award if your campaign's been killing it for 3 years in a row, then for them to consider you for that award, your campaign has to have been shortlisted or won the last 2 years in a row.
But for those listening, Adan, if you don't mind, bro, some people don't know the effect. Like people don't know what con is, bro. Can you tell them what that is?
Wait. Before we fast track to that, because you know I like to backtrack before we get too far in the story.
No, you're right.
Something very important. No.
You were saying some shit, bro.
No.
Real.
You're not going fast. You're going at your pace, which is fine. But before we dive too deep and get into the cons, you said something that I found very intriguing. So I need to know the backstory to that, right? You said you taught yourself Photoshop, Illustrator, and these video programs, right? Was this in prison? When you were in prison, did you teach it? Did you have access to actually like a computer library with the resources to teach yourself? Did they have these type of programs in prison? Because I know back in the day, they had a lot of educational opportunity programs in prison that they now have rescinded and taken away. So did you teach yourself that in prison or did you have to wait kind of till you got out and then you said, this is something I want to learn and then you did it then? I think we should know about that.
I taught myself in prison. So at the time, you know, I got locked up in 94 and, you know, I went away in Jersey, but because it was my first time, they decided to put me in what they call a sort of an adult learning facility. So it was a facility that has job release, this, that, and the other. I wasn't eligible for any job release or anything because I also had at the same time, I had an immigration hold on me because I was born in Honduras. I'm not a U.S. citizen. So because I had the immigration hold on me, I couldn't get the benefits of a lot of that, what that facility had. But I was able to go into the classes and crazy shit. Like 3 months after I went to that facility, my graphic design teacher was killed in a car accident.
Wow.
So they asked me if I could teach the course because I was already fucking with all the design shit. And he decided to make me a teacher, you know, a teacher's assistant. So I became the teacher for that shit for like a year before they found anybody to take that job. So it was just me at night learning how to sort of like fuck with Illustrator, fuck with Photoshop. You know, I was just learning, like I got heavy into the world of graphic design. And I taught myself sort of a lot of the things that interested me about graphic design. And so prison became a learning ground for me that, you know, unfortunately it's prison. Unfortunately it is what it is. And you know, I wouldn't wish that on anybody because I call it, you know, for me, it was like a glass coffin. You see the world around you falling apart, but you can't touch it. You can't do nothing to impact it. And it's terrible. But at the same time, I used it to teach myself a skill.
Was there a reason you went the digital route? You could have chose any trade in the world, bro. What made you go into digital specifically? Or was it
I was an illustrator and I liked designing and drawing. And, you know, back in the day when there were those the house parties in Brooklyn or the block parties, I was doing the flyers and all of that. So
gotcha.
I just loved designing. And when I got there and I saw that you can design on a computer, I was like, get the fuck out of here. So I went and I did it.
Shit, that's real, huh?
You know, that's a very it's impossible to fast track that story, Adan, because we talk so much on this show about people making mistakes and still having value. So you made a mistake and you had to do your time for it, but you still have value. But in doing your time, if the purpose is to rehabilitate you so that you don't make the same mistake again, right? Then if they're not giving you any type of educational curriculum to better yourself, to learn something different outside of what you were doing, then it doesn't matter if you do 1 day or 100 days, right? You're going to come right back out and do the same exact thing, right? The recidivism rate is going to go right back up because you don't have any skills. You went in knowing one thing, you didn't learn nothing, so you did your time, right? And you know, prison is rough. So God forbid something happened to you that changed you in prison, right? Where you come out even more angry and rough and things of that nature, right?
Yeah.
And where do you put all this energy now, right? Where do you put all this? Where do you focus your attention on? If you don't have anything creative or anything of substance to dive into, to build on, then you're gonna revert back to what you were doing.
But also, exactly. I was only gonna just to add, bro. But you had two things stacked up against you, right? You also said you wasn't a citizen, and you also went to jail, did jail time, bro. There's so many excuses you could have made for yourself not to go down the path you went, bro. So I'm just curious, what shaped your mindset? Was they like, what was your parents like? Like, I got to know where your mindset came from, bro, because that's a big shift. Not a lot of people in that situation is doing what you're doing.
You know, it's just determination. It's just, for me, it was, you know, growing up in the hood. I think that growing up in the hood, you know, it's two ways. You know, you can either allow it to consume you and you become a part of it, or you allow it to shape you and educate you.
Message.
I think that growing up in the hood, we had the advantage of seeing every aspect of life. We can be actors. We could be thug the fuck out. We could be sweethearts. We could be, we could take on, I mean, we're chameleons because being in the hood, and you know this, you know, I didn't go to the Bronx for shit unless it was to check out some chicks. But but because I'm from Brooklyn, and back then,
and vice versa.
We didn't, you know, there was no transborough, like we just didn't fuck with each other like that. But when we did and we had to, we turned into chameleons, and we understood how survival is, because, you know, optically what you put out there, sort of visually, what people see is how you get looked at and how you get judged. So I believe that people from the hood have an advantage over people that are not from the hood, because they've never had to walk in other people's shoes. They've never had to be someone they're not. They've never had to go out there and present themselves in a way that isn't truly them, because they've always been all right. You know, you can walk that safe walk. But for me, it was just determination. And once I got into prison, I just like, man, this ain't for me. And the first couple of weeks were tough. You know, first couple of weeks, it was fights every day. I sat down and went to watch TV, and this dude was like, yo, that's my seat. Then I'm sitting there and I'm like, all right. So I got up and I moved. And he's like, that's my seat too. And I'm like, this motherfucker. And then I was just like, all right, man. So I got up and I hit him with a chair. And then, that's, we got it going. We had it.
Raise up, gonna be trouble.
But I knew that's where it was going, because it was it was like my first day. So I knew where this was going. So I was like, all right, man. So this is what I got to do. And, you know, after that, it was more and more and more. But finally, like around, you know, the 4th month in, everybody knew me. Everybody left me. Like I started tattooing in there just because I was nice with the drawings. And then, you know, once I got access to the computer, I started getting to that. But I allowed sort of my creativity is really what drove me, because I wanted to learn more, and I was able to shut the rest of the world out. And then, you know, when I came home, it was tough because I had an immigration case now. And I got home and I was just like, yo, went to immigration, and they were like, yo, there is no case. I was like, cool. Then I got my life going. You know, 10 years after I came home, immigration came to pick me up. And by that time, I already had 3 daughters. I had a good job. I was already in the game. I was already in advertising. And, you know, my daughters will tell you, you know, my daughters now, they're 20, 21, and 23. But at the moment, my daughter saw ICE come and pick me up. So they took me away, and they were like, yo, you're a threat to society. And I'm like, yo, what are you talking about? I've been working in this industry 10 years. But, you know, fortunately, you know, advertising gave me the ability to sort of pay the lawyer fees, pay pay the toll to stay in place.
Yeah. And see that right there, that's what I'm talking about. See, that's what I'm talking about. It's no way that you can fast track that type of a story, because like my cousin said, you had two things going against you. One, you had to do your time stateside, and two, possibility, because you're not a citizen, they were going to deport you. You understand what I'm saying? So imagine now, again, we talk about trauma, right? So you dealt with what you had to deal with in prison. You come home and now you're like, okay, I went there. They said you have no case, which is very weird that they said that to you right off the bat, because they knew then. It's no way they didn't know. So they knew then, but look at the system. So you got 10 years, you got yourself together, you're working and things of that nature, and then they come and get you, right? And now your daughters have to see and endure something like this to feel like they're going to take, daddy away, separate the father away from the home and things of that nature. That matters, bro.
That shit matters a lot.
That absolutely matters. You understand what I'm saying? Because once again, even if whatever time you was away from the house, whatever, it's the same thing as taking the man and what you provide, the stability, the protection, etc., the learning away from the household. And now they have to deal with it until you're thankfully that you were able to come back. Because I know a lot of people that got in trouble and got deported.
How long was that fight, bro? Word.
Yo, that was a 10-year immigration. I just won that. I won that immigration battle 7 years ago.
See?
Wow.
So that was, about the time, forget, it wasn't just the time, to your point, but then I was in immigration, because immigration came and picked me up. And, they scooped me up and said, nah, you're going to have to be in here for the whole time of this fight. But I got another lawyer that he went in and he saw the paperwork that I showed him when I went to immigration and told him, yo, listen, I got a case. They said no. They stamped my paper. So he was like, yo, they're holding you illegally because you surrendered yourself to them. They can't come 10 years later. So, I just got a lawyer that was real nice. And again, it was because sort of this industry, I made connections with some folks and people that I trusted, and I told them what happened. They went and pulled some money together, got me a good lawyer, and I got out of there. I was able to get out of there within 2 months and then get back, because I had just bought a house. So I was just getting my life going, and then all of a sudden, scoop me up out of here.
Damn! That's an ill story, but what was those 2 months like, bro? Can you walk us through those fucking 2 months? Because I could imagine, right? You're thinking like, yo, will I get out of this thing? I've got my career, my house, like you got the whole family. Like, so what was life like for those 2 months for you?
Yo, it was just, a lot of it was research, education, and just trying to dig in to see what I can do to stay in the country. So, and then making, it was just phone calls, research, digging in. So I had a street team out here looking for the best lawyer, because homies that that I made friends with in this industry, I told them the story and they were like, oh, fuck that, because they knew me already. Now I got 10 years in the ad game. So it's not like people don't know me. I'm not a stranger. At this point, I already had I've already won awards. I've already done shit. So it's not like, it's not like I'm unknown. So people know my character, and they were like, nah, fuck that. We're going to help you out. So in those 2 months, it was just me trying to figure out, okay, how can I stay? Because honestly, there wasn't an option. There was no, I'm going to sit here and hold my breath. You just can't do that, because I had just bought a house and I've got 3 young daughters and a wife waiting for me. So there was no sitting down and, praying for it and keeping your fingers crossed. It was just like hit phone calls and talking to people and having everybody just sort of bring everybody together to figure out, how do I get out of here? This one lawyer, this one lawyer went into the case, figured it out. And he was sneaky. He took the immigration path, but he also took the federal court path. So he filed 2 cases in my favor. Immigration was like, nah, we can't help him. But the federal court already said, yeah, we can help him. So federal court they
superseded him. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. But see, we talk about that all the time. My cousin loves to talk about your network is your net worth. You see that again, right? Growing up in Brooklyn, the people that you hanging around in the hood probably couldn't do that for you. You understand what I'm saying? You see, look at what you did though, Adan. You see, this is a testament now to yourself, because once you got in trouble, if you'd have came home and did the same type of stupid shit that got you in trouble initially, you'd have been gone. because you wouldn't have had the resources. You wouldn't even have been in the room to have the conversation to even know where to get the resources to fight the case. You understand what I'm saying? Let alone we talk about when you get in trouble initially and having the money for a decent lawyer initially, because we know a lot of people get railroaded right off the back because they don't have decent lawyers anyway. So they take any type of deal and things of that nature. But again, this is the growth that we're talking about, but that's all made possible by you being focused, right? You now coming out with a craft, right? With a technical skill that you came home and you didn't bullshit and you put that to use. You understand? So I just want to congratulate you on that, man, because you know, the same way that you kind of got yourself in trouble, you got yourself out of trouble. You understand what I'm saying?
Thank you, man. Yeah. Appreciate that. You know, but it's a no matter, you know, to your point, no matter what situation you're in, it's always a community that you're gonna lean on. And you know, nobody, you know, we all like to think that, that we can do shit on our own, but we can't. No one's an island. And everybody, you know, we all need to support each other regardless. You just never know where the support is gonna come from. But you know, if you're a stand-up dude, if you're a person of character, people see that, and you know, those people saw it in me. But at the same time, you know, it's a lot of hard work. You know, I'm in the advertising game and I like the advertising game, and a lot of people want to get out of the advertising game, but I really do like it. You know, you got to think about it. The advertising game is the strongest platform of influence that there is.
Absolutely.
At our fingertips, we have the ability to influence hundreds of thousands of people. And that's a lot of responsibility, and that's a lot of power that this bullshit industry has. But you know, if you don't see it as a bullshit industry, if you truly see it as impact, then you can make it like you could do some shit. You could do some shit in this industry, because you have to understand, you have this megaphone, you have this soapbox, unlike anything on the planet. Advertising is a powerful, powerful tool. That's why I really like it, because, you know, depending on what your work is and your message and how you put yourself into it, you can really, really impact a lot.
Absolutely. But I think you guys are starting to touch on that now with what you're doing on Blackweek and some of the things, right? I think the problem is, right, for us, we bring our whole selves to work, right? So I get encouraged when I see brothers like Walt, brothers like yourself, you know what I mean? Like, can we make impact? The problem is there's a lot of red tape, there's a lot of bureaucracy, there's a lot of bullshit, like you said, sometimes, that allow us from putting our real culture, creativity, all that into work, and it just becomes a deliverable. And that's when it becomes bullshit. You know what I'm saying?
That's when it becomes bullshit. You know, the reality is that no matter how good we are at our job, they're gatekeepers to this shit.
That's,
you know, there are gatekeepers. By the gatekeepers, I'm talking about CMOs. You know, when Bob doesn't see himself in the work we create, Bob's not going to approve it. But the reality is that we're there. Whether we get our voice out there or not, that's not the question. We're all excited about being heard. We're all excited about putting our work out there and showing that sort of we understand society, that we want to sort of to put the right message out there. But if Bob looks at that shit and Bob doesn't feel it, Bob's only going to see himself. You know, that's the problem, that we have to impact it at that level, where we can get more of us at that level, or at least bring Bob into the conversation and show him that this is not for you. This is for your audience, and this is your audience. So it's up to us to, like, you know, we still have to figure out, how do we get Bob's head wrapped around that audience? Because it ain't for you, Bob.
It's for the greater good. But that's a great segue, right? So what can you tell us one time that you've had the experience with the Bob and you fucking gave him a great creative idea that ended up being a home run that you're really proud of? Do you have any examples of those?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
You came back like, yeah, Bob, motherfucker. Yeah. Home run.
Well, you know, the thing is, you know, I was pitching an idea, and the idea was sort of based on inner city youths and what inner city youths are capable of, and creating murals around the city. Everybody loved it. And then I had the black kid creating a skateboard sort of scenario. And the client was a client. She was from DC. She was black, and she dead ass said, "Black boys don't skateboard. Can we have him doing basketball stuff?" And I
hated it.
And I sat there, and I grew up in Brooklyn, and I will tell you that I skateboarded, It's like mad black kids skateboarded, like, you know, like that's what they do. It's so I grew up in that culture and I saw it every day, and I'm like trying to tell her, and she was like, no. So basically I went out and I had a couple of folks go and shoot into different neighborhoods and shoot skater kids, and created a reel. She saw it and then she was like, oh, all right, I guess so. She's like, but I still prefer, like, if we have basketball, we'll have more reach. That was just like, all right, man, like this, you know, you can't move the needle on people who don't want to be moved. So it's just like that's a situation where it's, you know, I was disappointed by the work that we were pushed to do versus the work that we could have done.
Yeah, that makes sense. But is she technically wrong though with that though? Like from an audience, she's wrong, but you know what I'm saying. But
here's the thing: just because she's black ethnically doesn't mean that she grew up in a black neighborhood. Doesn't mean she's experienced black culture. You got to remember, right? Ethnicity doesn't mean that you're from a certain place. It just means that you're born into a certain, you know, ethnicity, right? She could have been black and grew up in a white culture. She could have been black and grew up in an Asian culture. You know, military kids are black and they grew up in so many different cultures because their parents moved them around, right? Yeah. So it's not a slight to her. I would just want to credit it as just maybe she just didn't understand the culture the way you did, right? She wasn't immersed in it the way you did.
That's what it is, and that's what it is. Right. I like to say that diversity is what you see. Inclusion is the stories we tell, because it's you know, it's very different to see someone like I could see a Latino dude at an Irish pub, you know, pounding some Guinness, and I'm going to be like, I can't relate to none of this, because just because you had a Latino at the Irish pub pounding some Guinness doesn't mean that story is going to resonate with me. So what is the story that you're telling, or how did you craft the story? An inclusive story would have been like homies grabbing his boy, taking him to the bar, and him being uncomfortable, but him saying like, fuck it, I'm gonna take this drink anyway. That would resonate with me, because I'd be like, see, that's an inclusive story, you know. But when you talk about just having someone of color in your spot, that's diversity, but that's not inclusive. That's not an inclusive story. I don't get it. It doesn't resonate with me. So I get what you're saying, where it's like, just because you look like me doesn't mean you understand my story. Doesn't mean that you understand how to talk to me, you know.
Absolutely.
And you know, we run into a lot of that, because, you know, like, we've all seen these, you know, whether it's print ads or spots where it's, you know, United Colors of Benetton for no reason. Like,
that's real. You going on the quote card tomorrow. He said, diversity is what we see. Inclusion is the stories we tell. I like that a lot, bro. That's real.
So just so you know, I didn't bring out my notebook, but actually, I wrote it down in my phone and got the timestamp on it. I'm cousin. You know, me and you was like on the fucking mental weight. You know what I mean? We could. Like, I already wrote that down. I already timestamped it and all that, just in case I needed to rehear it and get it right. You know what I'm saying? You know what it is, Adan, man. Again, it's not only the ethnicity part, it's the experience part, right? As guys, as inner city youth, guys, we do way more than females, because guys, that's just what we do. Like, we need somewhere to put this energy, right? You understand? She talking about like, oh, you know, guys don't skateboard. Shit, I could show you scars from skateboarding. You understand what I'm saying? My son, who's 22, he got 5 skateboards in the garage right now. They go to the skate park. Again, we are so creative as a culture, black and brown people. We are so creative as a culture, right? That we are just looking for anything to put our energy into that gravitates towards us. You understand what I'm saying? Some people just don't understand that, because, no disrespect to her, she might not be that talented. You understand what I'm saying? She might have just grew up, wanted to do one thing, followed that, and never really looked at other things. Some people is not very, very talented, so they don't understand the concept of us as a people being able to do so many different things and be well and do well at it. You understand what I'm saying? So basketball is mainstream. You know, who doesn't know basketball, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? Who doesn't know basketball?
I think that the biggest thing is like where you're going, and I agree with you. You know, creativity is sort of a result of need. and lack of access. If we don't have shit, we're gonna figure out how to get shit one way or another. So, growing up in the hood, you didn't have access to skate parks. You had access to the block. So, but you could still skate. You had to figure it all out. You didn't have access to grass fields. You had you had access to the blacktop, to concrete. So we all got these crazy ass scars, but we did not lack the ability to go out and play football and basketball and skate and handball. Like, we didn't lack any of that because we figured out how to play. Shit, all we needed was a ball in the wall and we were good.
That's a fact. That's real talk, man.
Yeah.
I also want to talk about we talk to a lot of creatives, a lot of people in the advertising industry, because we want to show people that the real opportunity of what it is if you get into that industry, the good, bad, and the ugly, right?
Yeah, man.
So, like, you know what I mean? I would love to kind of touch on that. We were talking about before we into the story, and we're going to circle back too, bro. But the cons, right? Because I'm curious. I worked for Con. I don't know if you knew this, bro, but I was one of Con's first black employees. So I didn't even know what the hell it was, bro. I thought it was the film festival and shit. I fucking lucked up, became one of their first employees, and I was selling the archive to brothers like yourself. So when you wanted to look at when you wanted to go look at past works and shit like that, I was the one selling it, right? So I'm curious, right, for your works, what was it like when you won the Con and how it changed your career, bro? Like, can you explain what is the opportunity of winning a Con in your career, in your profession?
My first Cannes Lion, I got a PDF. That was it. I got a PDF, and
you didn't get the award, you didn't get that?
Nah, but I'm telling you, because I opted to be in the shadows because I was afraid what happens if my name came up on anything.
Yes.
If my name showed up on any award, if my name showed up on Ad Age, if my name showed up anywhere, I was always worried about what would happen if someone decided to dig in and look into that. Oh, wow. This motherfucker's been in prison. Oh, this cat has a live fucking immigration case going.
Let me use that as leverage or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but not only was, and then I always had the worry of hurting my family and having everything taken away. So my name shows up. So I can say, fuck it, put my name on that award. My name shows up. I get fired. I got nothing. Or for whatever impact that would have. I just always figured in my mind, my name showing up on anything would have a negative impact based on my learnings and based on my experience. So my first Cannes Lion was for American Express. And, now I don't give a fuck. Now I want my name everywhere. And like 4 or 5 years ago, I got in touch with Cannes and said, yo, can you add my name to this shit? I won these awards. And I had receipts. I had emails. I even had the people that were on it. So Atish Shah, he's the North America CCO of Digitas. So, that he was there. He was in the trenches with me. So I asked him, I said, yo, my man, I'm going to try and get this. Will you support me? And he was like, hell yeah, I'll support you. I got you. Him, Lincoln York, like all the names of the people that are at the top associated with that, I contacted them and they said, yo, we got you. But Lions were still saying like, we can't go back and add your name to it. So it is what it is. But I still claim those awards because any name that you see on those awards, if you ask them who I am, they'll know who I am and they'll know my contribution. So I still claim the awards and I still say I did that shit because I did. And I put all that work into it. I did, Small Business Saturday for American Express. I did that shit for 6.5 years. And that shit won Grand Prix. That shit won the Creative Effectiveness Award. And I'll be damned if I'm not going to take credit for that shit. Whether Can got my name on that list or not, fuck that. I'm taking credit for that shit because the people that were there, they were there. The people with me, they know my name's associated with that. So I could sit in a room full of people and they'd be like, yo, he says he won a line. Whoever's there, whoever was on that, they will all get up and fucking stand up and clap because they know I was there. So
facts.
Now
but what was your contribution to that particular project, bro? Because it was like 10 of us, 15 of us. Like, were you the one?
I was the creative director, and
so you oversaw all of it.
So it was my job to figure out how do we evolve this thing. How do we make it bigger? I've sat there and I'm like, okay, we did this last year. It's got to be bigger this year. That shit started off as a platform on Facebook for small businesses to figure out how do we get more people to come to us. And then, you know, first of all, how do we get on Facebook? So we were educating small businesses across the country to get on social media. So that's how we started. And then it grew. You know, by year 4, I'm shooting TV spots with the Muppets. I got, you know, I'm shooting with Shaquille O'Neal, Kendrick Lamar. Like, and I'm making shit happen because I'm bringing us and I'm making all the stories more culturally relevant. So so I was a big part of evolving that and turning it from a social platform to an ecosystem. So that's like, you know, an ecosystem of communication, because then we did the TV, then we were doing radio, and then we were doing more social spots. Like, we grew that thing from just being sort of a Facebook only execution to a full 360 campaign. But that took work. And I did that shit. I busted my ass on that shit.
I got a question. This might sound crazy, but I don't know. So let me just ask the question. The award is just the award. Like, it's like ordering a plaque from the music biz. Even if it didn't have your name on it, couldn't you just, I mean, like, say you get a con line and you lose it or it breaks. Couldn't somebody just request a duplicate award, or like an award that just says that they won for you just to have it in your office? Like, even if it doesn't have your name on it, couldn't they just order another one?
Well, they can, but they didn't. And, you know, them shits are expensive, like $2,500 a pop. Yeah.
Shit.
I don't know. I'm gonna keep it 100 with you though, Adan. I'm gonna keep it 100 with you, with your conviction and the work that you did on it. I'd have ordered that shit. As I'm sentimental like that. You understand what I'm saying? I'm gonna keep it 100 with you. Like, I don't know if you can see it. You know, we go to conferences and stuff. I keep all the badges and, you know,
lanyards and all that, all the lanyards.
All the lanyards. It's like the guys that run the marathons, right? They keep all of their medals. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I would pay that shit just to have them up.
I'll keep it a buck with you. I never asked.
Okay.
I never said, fuck it, buy it for me.
Yeah.
I never asked. I kind of, you know, you got to think about it. My mindset at the time, at that time, was to stay in the shadows because I didn't want anything to happen.
To draw attention.
No, I understand.
So, you know, I never asked for it. And, you know, and it's funny because recently, you know, I knew I was going to talk to you guys. So recently I reached out to a T, you know, he's the and I told him, listen, your name might come up and I just want to know, you know, if you're okay with me telling that story. And he just straight up said, bro, that's all your work, all you. Tell the story, do you. So, you know, props to my man. You know, he didn't, you know, I just want to, you know, I don't want to bring up anybody's name for the sake of bringing up their names. I just want to make sure that, you know, that people were okay with me telling the story. And, you know, they were fine with me telling the story.
Yeah. Because it's not only Adan, it's not only motivation to you, right? Like, say you got the bookshelf right behind you, right? You put that up. You got daughters. You got daughters that might not understand that. They can look at the award and you could be like, yo, daddy did this. This is what daddy does. And see, that my man, there we go right there. Look, yo, Jarrett, look. My man. There it is. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
And for those watching, y'all, if you get one of those, when I was pitching it back in the day, if you win one Conline award, it's equivalent to $1 million in new business.
Yeah,
that was the stat back then that we was pitching. So I could imagine what it's like right now. So when I asked you how did it take effect on your career? Even though you wasn't trying to bring attention to your name, how did it affect your day to day with the people that you were working with? Because now you please the client, you're getting more exposure, you're getting more visibility. You know, any more opportunities presented to you as a result? Like the shit just shoot up like a rocket. Like how did it change your career?
I was getting more opportunities. You know, I went from doing the American Express Open work to doing some of the unstage work. If you're familiar with that, it's like all the music concerts. Like I did the first sort of Facebook live streamed concert with Kendrick Lamar. I brought Kendrick Lamar to Brooklyn. So that was, you know, that was explosive. And they were at the time, they were like, oh, Kendrick Lamar's from LA. Would he really sell out in Brooklyn? I was like, y'all don't know. So I brought him to Brooklyn. Shit sold out in like 2 minutes. But, you know, I had more opportunities. So, but that also gave me the ability to go into more of those, deeper into a lot of those opportunities. I got briefs that started off as an email and I turned them into like a full ass 360 campaign because I got excited about what this could be and how you could push it. So clients start believing more. Clients start listening to you a bit more. because again, to go from a brief that started off as, hey, we're going to send this email. So I'm like, nah, it's not just an email. You need to fucking do this, do that, sell this, turn it into a campaign, turn it into a 3-month campaign. And then clients will listen to you because they know that you've got a reputation for making things bigger, for making things a bit more sort of digestible, and to get audiences to react. The work, at the end of the day, the work got people to react. It got people to stand up. So when you win, when you win a line, depending on the line that you win, you win a line for storytelling. People are just going to want you to tell stories
all day.
That shit is proven. You've been proven in the battlefield. So it gave me the opportunity to do bigger work, and it gave me the opportunity to meet with bigger clients. Sort of, you go up for, you start going up and you start meeting the CMOs, and you start being able to pitch with them and just chill and vibe with them. So it's no longer, I'll see you at this meeting. Now it's like, oh, what you doing this weekend, and talking to folks. So it just starts validating your presence a little bit more when you start getting those awards. But again, that was a very
this shit is dope.
Yo, how much do we Adan, man? Like,
this
I promise you, it's funny when our guests come on and kind of like reiterate, because me and my cousin, we talk all day, every day, strategy, being deliberate on what we're doing, being deliberate on the guests that we allow to come on this platform, the stories we're telling, the people we're reaching out to, the events we go to, etc. And one of the biggest things we talk about is the understanding of when you are walking in those different rooms, and the reaction is not like, who are you? But the reaction is like, oh no, that's Adan. You don't know who that is? It's crazy, right? And for the people that don't know you, when they see that reaction from other people towards you, now they're like, yo, why don't I know you? And it starts the conversation like, hey, bro, like, why don't I know you? Like, yo, what do you do, man? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
It's a great conversation starter. It's a phenomenal conversation starter. Yeah.
I've been for me, like, I've been in the shadows for so long. And I'll be honest with you, like, again, this is the first time I really opened up and talked on a platform that's searchable, that people can listen to. Like, this is basically a receipt right now. So this is the first time that I'm putting myself out there, because this story, only a few people really know it. So even clients, although I won those awards, again, when you're not in ad age and all of that, like, it's still, you're still screaming into an empty room. So it takes other people to bring you up and bring you in. I was fortunate enough to have sort of the trust of a lot of people, that they brought me with them in those rooms, regardless of what press I got, regardless of whether or not anybody even knows my name. I was fortunate enough to be introduced to a lot of people in this industry. And I took those opportunities to have real conversations with people that weren't all based on work. And then that opened up opportunities that were based on work.
Message.
So, ladies and gentlemen, in short term, another exclusive on More Than the Title.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Bet you ain't got that story. That was the other podcast that called us earlier when you was telling that story and all that. You got to get them on your own. Here's Adan. They not only are we searchable, but they're wondering how we're getting our guests. They're wondering this how you get the stories and how you getting people to be. It's because of the authenticity, man. People come here and they feel comfortable and they know that the platform is real. We're not doing clickbait. You understand? We're information. We're impact over metrics, man. So we appreciate you feeling that comfortable to share that story with us and understanding that we're going to take great care of it, and we're not going to turn it into sound bites that would make you look anything other than phenomenal. Be clear.
Like you said, we met a while ago, but my people say good shit about you. So, I was with Walt last weekend, and even last weekend I was telling Walt, and he was like, yo, do that, blah, 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 blah. Like, Walt's like, yo, good people. So I was like,
shout out to my brother, man. Praise up to the bro.
Yeah, man. I hope he's healing up well.
Yeah, shout out to you, bro. You already know, man.
We definitely called them and text them, and we definitely gonna be pulling up on them soon, because this is deeper, like relationships, right? We into the people relationship, Adan, the people relationship. We act like human beings. So when we find out something went wrong, we reaching out directly. You understand? We're gonna pull up directly.
But his brothers, like, to give you context, Adan, his brothers like Walt, like, he didn't know me from a hole in the wall. He didn't know Cousin from a hole in the wall, right? He is somebody I followed on LinkedIn, and I was like, God damn, this brother's saying some real ass shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, defending the black people, defending the cause. And I'm like, he's in the midst of this shit. How the fuck is he doing that? You know what I'm saying? And I'm sitting there thinking, I started to admire him. And I reached out to him, bro. He didn't know me. Like I said, he was like, yo, hell yeah, I'll come on. He was episode 8. Episode 8, we wasn't a proven platform. You know what I'm trying to say? For him to come through and keep it real with us. And his episode went crazy, man. So, like, that's love, man. We barbecue together. You know what I'm saying? With kids, and we're going to get the kids linking up. Like, this is deeper than just partying, man. Shout out to Walt, man.
That's a
That's
fact.
what it is, man. It's a good thing. It's good people, man. I was with him.
It shows you value. It shows you value people are done. You understand? That's what the network equals network
that's what
is.
it is, man. If you can connect as people first, there's always going to be an opportunity to connect as businessmen, to connect. And right now it's got to be. The thing is, it's got to be profitable for the soul before it could be profitable for the pocket. And we've all heard that.
51. You know that goes in.
Well, hold on, that was
you know that's going in.
That was a quote card. My fault, bro. We didn't want to interrupt you. That was real.
But that's what I'm saying. We've all heard that term. Drain my battery. And like, do you really want to be with motherfuckers that drain your battery, or do you want to be with motherfuckers that charge you? So I'm fortunate enough to have connected with really good people in this industry that I hang out with, that I vibe with, that I trust, and we're not all at the same agency. Andre's one place, Joe's another place, Walt's another place, Monique's somewhere else, like all of them, everybody's, but it's just like we can talk to each other, and whenever we want, we can ask for each other's advice, and we can ask for support, but also we can make introductions for each other. Like, that's the thing. Like, that's what moves this business, this industry, is just who you know and how you approach them, and how do they feel when they speak to you. So if you're going to show up genuine, people see that and they know it. So that means that it's easier to get your ideas through. It's easier to understand exactly what the client needs, because you're able to have a conversation versus looking at a brief and being like, and not understanding what the fuck a brief says, because the client had nothing to do with that brief.
Exactly. Some other person, some junior level person didn't see the real idea. But you made a good point earlier, right? So as you're in these rooms, you're hitting home runs. How is the value? Like, how is your role valued, right? Like, so at the end of the day, you hit a couple of home runs, right? Like with me in sales, it's binary. I hit my number. I have a number to hit every quarter. You hit that shit, you don't, right? With you guys, there's no real metric tied to the role. So how do you guys quantify success at that role? Is it a couple of home runs? What happens when you have a dud? Are you on a chopping block? Like, how does that shit work?
It's there. I mean, for me, it's not the same for everybody, but I know that for me, it's me being able to talk to a client and open up an opportunity that wasn't on the books. So it wasn't, and it's just basically understanding what a client's needs are, and understanding, sometimes, I've got clients that I've just gone out and drinking with, and they've just been like, man, I'm fucked up. I got to figure this out. So then I'm like, man, I got people that can figure that shit out. So it's just, but it's creating, it's the whole thing is like, if you can have your clients win, then you're always going to win. So for me, it's being able to have very open conversations. And what the agency values is that there is said brand that's able to talk to somebody in your organization, whether it's to unlock dollars or to solve problems or to work together even closer. Then the value that I bring to an agency is that I can create bridges with clients. I can create bridges with organizations that we otherwise couldn't.
Absolutely. You're not selling, you're solving. And that's the best part of the sales, right? Like, you're not, you're connecting the dots, right? And that goes back to that. That's the problem I had with creatives, right? We had Mary Webb on, right? Creative Flow from Progressive. Do you think that creatives are underpaid? Because you connected a lot of dots that wouldn't have been connected otherwise, that has tremendous business impact that you can't quantify. You can't quantify what a Flow from Progressive did for that particular brand, and you're not even seeing nothing on the back end. Like, that agency has that client for 20 years. What is the value of that long term versus what you connected and you're making this? Like, do you think, like, what are your thoughts on that, bro?
That's the job, cuzzo. That's the.
I hate that shit.
No, I'm not a sales guy. I'm just saying, is that not the job, right? Can any industry where you work as a creative, I'm just asking a question. Can any industry where you work as a creative for a salary under a certain contract, you provide your service? Once you kind of sign that contract and do your job, what it does on the back end, I don't like, what industry isn't like that? I don't know. Right?
That's the thing, like I always tell the up and comers, once you become a professional creative, your work now belongs to someone else.
Absolutely.
So, you know, and we learned that lesson comes in handy when clients kill ideas and you can't be too emotionally attached to an idea because that idea is no longer yours. You brought that idea, but you need 5 more until the client says yes, or you've got to figure out how to make it work. But yeah, it isn't quantifiable. It is just, you know, what are the relationships? What do these relationships look like? How do they grow? You know, when you think about growth, there is that number that you can attach to growth that you can quantify with what this agency did for this client. There's that number, but what isn't there is to your point is that relationship. How did you grow? And the only way you could really quantify that is with more numbers. Did you open up were you able to sort of make your way into a new line of business?
Yeah, exactly.
So
I got another question. I got another question to that because, you know, I'm not a sales guy and a lot of our audience might not be salespeople. So, you know, again, I'm going to ask these questions because I don't know. So maybe, you know, other people don't know either. Once you sign a contract, let's say you sign a contract with company X and you pitch them 10 ideas, right? Now you're under contract, like in the music business. If I sign a contract musically, whatever music I create, whether they use it or not, technically is their property. Is it like that in sales? So if I create 10 ideas and they kill 9 of them, but they accept the one, can you now take the other 9 ideas and pitch it to somebody else, or can you keep it for yourself? I don't know. How does that work?
The client, if you pitch it, it's the client's, right?
It's the client.
Even if they kill it and they turn it down,
still theirs.
It's the client. It's still theirs. But you know, I got hard drives of ideas that were killed that I bring back, and you know, and just bring it back in a different way for a different brand. Because if you're doing your shit right, idea A for client X and idea B for client Y, although they're the same, they're going to feel different. They're very different because the idea has to mold to the client's needs and also to the client's audience and to sort of that client's, you know, that client's energy, that vibe, whoever that client is, like, what are their beliefs? So your idea always, you know, creative idea up here, then you have to figure out how do I make it ownable for client X. There's a lot to take into consideration of how client X could own that idea. You could have the identical idea for client Y, but it's just the basis of the idea. Now you've got to figure out what are the pieces that make it ownable for client Y. You know, what's the personality of the brand? You know, what are the, you know, what's their target audience? What's their behavior? So although it's the same idea, you've got to figure out how to mold it to that client because an idea shouldn't be ownable by, you know, by another client. If they're in the same industry, it just shouldn't be ownable. You have to figure out who that client is. You have to understand clients and the corporations that you're working with to really be able to capitalize on them and what they're bringing to the table, because it all goes back to authenticity. You know, someone's going to see through the bullshit if your brand doesn't, you know, if your brand doesn't stand for what it stands, they're going to see through the bullshit.
Method.
I mean, the best example of that ever was, you know, Kylie Jenner and Pepsi. Like, if you remember that, like, she stopped police brutality by giving a cop a soda. So it's the most ridiculous shit I've ever seen.
That's real shit. I don't know who thought of that shit, right? But that's the shit that kills me too. That's right, because it's bad works out there that are getting awards. It's bad work that's just getting limelight, and then like I feel like the work that you guys put on, like, it's not in the forefront enough for us. Like people are not shining the light on you guys. Like, for instance, like when Walt did the Progressive joint, right? The Kid and Play, that was a fire. I'm watching that shit on the fucking Super Bowl, right? You know what I mean? That should be championed, right? Like, so I just feel like you guys aren't really heralded the way you should be. And I just think from a compensation standpoint, you know, it's just a lot, man. But I commend what the fuck y'all do.
You know why I asked that? Look, let me tell you again, because I'm a big music guy, right? I'm a big music guy. I've seen this happen, right? Say a producer comes to a studio, he got 10 tracks. I'm slated to do somebody's album. You've never heard producers come out and say, hey man, did you know this song wasn't even meant for this person? It was written for this person. We actually gave it to them first, and they was like, nah. So like a big example of that is Rihanna's Umbrella, Ella. That wasn't even meant for her. That was meant for what's her name? Young light skin. Jesus Christ.
Young light skin. You just threw me off with the young light skin. Who the fuck young light skin is?
I'm gonna think of her name in a minute. She was an artist. She was an up and coming artist doing well. she turned that song down, and it ended up being, it launched Rihanna's career because she thought the song was, I think, like too kiddish or something like that. And it ended up launching Rihanna's career, and her career kind of dove after that. So that's why I was asking that kind of a question.
I know, but see, that's actually a perfect example of the point that I made, where you take that idea, but if it doesn't fit the character of that individual, it's not going to make it. It's not going to be, you know, in our example, we were using company X and Y, but the thing is, like, if Rihanna took it on because Rihanna brought something to it, so she added to it. She added her personality to it. She added her authenticity to it. You know, the other chick, whoever she was, she probably would have just sung it as it was meant and as it was, and it would have been very sort of vanilla, and it wouldn't have had that flavor.
Yeah.
So you know, that's the case of that personality and that authenticity showing through regardless of the product.
Absolutely, bro. And also, I do want to, I could talk about the creative journey, bro. I do want to talk about, like, what but let's just go there now, bro. What's the one creative project that you've done that you hang your hat on? If you go through your career right now, what's the one, if they ask you, yo, this is the one I'm most proud of, and why?
Oh man, you know, I always go back to Small Business Saturday, because you got to think about 2000. You know, in 2010, the economy was fucked, and everybody was drowning. Small businesses were closing shops, and
absolutely,
you know, and we worked with American Express to figure out, okay, how do we get more people into these stores, into these small businesses, and away from big box. And, you know, first year, it was like teaching them how to walk in social media, teaching them how to present themselves. And that was the job, teaching small businesses, if they opt in, we will give you a whole kit of how to show up on social media. You know, and year two, we created a map that showed where all these businesses were. So even if you didn't opt in, you were able to look for small businesses. By year three, I was going across the country shooting different businesses, and I was getting hugs from small business owners telling me about the difference that campaign has made for them. You saved our business. We got more foot traffic because on that day, so, you know, it's Small Business Saturday is the Saturday after Black Friday. I mean, Black Friday. So, you know, Black Friday, like the shopping, you know, it's the shopping, but we did Small Business Saturday. So you move away from the big shops to the little ones. And, you know, going throughout the country and doing that campaign for 6 years, people were really grateful and hugging us. And we were telling stories of small business owners, and we were telling stories of entrepreneurs, and we were giving them the platform, the American Express platform, to tell those stories. So I'm really proud of that, because we were able to take something, you know, a giant like American Express, and make it benefit small businesses across the country. So that was with a purpose, and it's something I'm very proud of. As far as, you know, but that was like, that's something I'm incredibly proud of. But something that I was really happy to work on was, we were working with Chantel Martin. She's an artist, and she's just this incredible. Chantel Martin. She does these black line drawings. She's incredible. So we wanted to do a thing where it's how does the creative process work, and you know, what's brilliance look like. And it was Kendrick Lamar Kendrick Lamar was on the side just making beats while she was drawing. And I was, you know, and I was there doing it. And, you know, I'm shooting Kendrick for other shit, but bringing the story of how creativity comes together, whether it's that visual or that musical. And it all came together, create a great story. And I was hanging out with them for about 2 months. And then, you know, the end of that was, you know, Kendrick doing a live, sort of that Facebook concert in Brooklyn. So it was a great journey, and it started with art, and how art can change the world, but then it transitions to music, and then how music sort of motivates everyone. And it's funny because Kendrick did a beat there on set, and I asked him, "Can we use it?" And he's like, "It's yours." So like everything, all of that, it's just like, so you know, it's incredible. So that's something that I'm proud of, only because on set, the energy that we had on set, the way Chantel was, the way Kendrick was. Everybody's energy was just so positive, and you know, you could see why he is who he is, and she is why she is. There was like no break in the work. And even when the cameras were off, they were just going, working. So you could see why that success is what it is.
That's great. I ain't gonna have to ask you who won the battle. I know you thought.
I remember now. I remember now. Christina Milian.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Christina Milian, and I think also one of her songs, Britney Spears team turned it down also. You know what I'm saying? And look what happened. You know what I'm saying?
But Rihanna won that anyway. She wouldn't have.
He talking about the Kendrick Drake battle. I
got a quick message for American Express.
We gotta pay some bills. We'll be right back.
You know what you could do? We a small business here at OTB Digital and more than the title. If you want to sit there and sponsor great content for small businesses like we're doing right here by bringing on business leaders like Adan and many others like we do, you can sponsor more than the title. If you don't want to sponsor, you get a more than the title shirt, a mug, a motherfucking hoodie. We support them all. And with that said, back to the show.
I mean, listen, man.
No.
You know, the thing is,
Kendrick won, by the way. Come on.
He went crazy. Freaky ass.
Yeah, that was, you know, because, you know, Drake did his cute little social media trolling and all of that. But Kendrick went to his house and you know, Kendrick is good for small businesses in Canada right now. Like people are going to that Chinese restaurant and spending money in Canada because of Kendrick.
Right.
So Kendrick's good for the economy over there.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
I'm pretty sure Drake is good for that economy too.
Yeah, he is.
All the money he done made for the six, Jesus Christ! Like I'm pretty sure Canada is enjoying between him and the Weeknd.
Yeah,
I'm being honest. Like Canada winning right now. Like
that's a fact.
Who would have knew? Cold ass weather.
Who would have thought it?
Who would have knew?
Who'd have knew?
But you know what it is, Adan. I think as a culture, what is starting to happen is we are starting to see a shift in the rift where we are starting to understand as a culture how valuable we are, not only to ourselves, but to the world in general, because the world has been that black person or that white person that didn't understand the idea, doesn't matter who, they've been taken from our culture forever, right? Not everything, but a lot of it, 80% is derived from our culture, but we're not seeing any return from it until now. Now, I think as creatives, as people understanding that, we actually have the power to move this thing forward and we're not going to be quiet about it anymore. Now you're starting to see that quantum shift where people are like, no, this is what we're worth. This is what we're gonna do, and that's the end of that. You understand what I'm saying? Like, Kai Cenat got a Nike deal, bro. You understand? Kai Cenat, you've never in the history of anything heard something where influencers getting a fucking major shoot like he's a fucking sports player.
But that kid works though.
No, absolutely. I'm not saying he doesn't.
Like I see that kid and I see his work ethic, and it's through the fucking roof. That kid, am I a fan? Is that for me? No, but you cannot deny this kid's undeniable work ethic and his hustle is through the fucking roof. So every penny he got coming to him, he deserves.
No.
There's other cats out there. There's other cats out there that I don't understand how they making money.
Right.
Like I just don't get it. Like it just doesn't. I don't. I see them clowning themselves and somehow making money. But it is, and we're scratching the surface, right? Because we feel it because we have access to each other. We feel it because we're looking out for each other. We're seeing what the other one's doing. We're seeing how we can help out. We're seeing it now because for the first time in a long time, we have access to the people of color that are moving the culture and bringing it forward. We've never had access like this before, but we are still scratching the surface when you think about it. When you think about those boardrooms, when you think about who's sitting at the top, we are nowhere near close. You know how good it would be to go into a meeting and like not have to celebrate that I see a black person or a Latino in the room. Like, when white people walk into a room, they walk in there casually as fuck because they're familiar with that room. When we walk into a room and if we see each other across the hall, we're gonna make ourselves right. We're gonna dap. What's up? Good to see you here. It'd be great if we didn't have to celebrate when we saw ourselves in a room for the first time, because white people, they don't, they're so used to it. They see each other, they nod and they sit down. When we see each other, we're making a beeline for each other just to celebrate both of us being in that room. So we're scratching the surface, man. I agree with you. We are still scratching the surface.
No, I agree with you. Like I said, it's just like I told you about the award. It is so, we keep preaching this. Our culture is what the eyes see, the ears hear, the mind believes, right? So again, I'm not saying that he doesn't have a good workout. He has to have a phenomenal work ethic. What I'm saying is that deal right there opens up so many new windows, so many new doors.
I love it.
Anybody on that level being like, oh, if he could get a sneaker, I'm next. Or
but that's the power. But that's the message for everybody listening. That's the power. That's the power of content. The power of having an audience, right? This young kid told people to go to 14th Street and cause a fucking riot.
Shut it down.
He shut it down, right? So to have that type of power, brands are going to want to tap into that. Sales are winding off, right? The economy isn't what you think it is right now. Sales ain't happening the way they used to be, right? So they're looking for ways to tap into that market. So for us as content creators, as creatives, as people that know the culture and understand it well, it's up to us to create that content, build that audience, and sell that shit off, because you create generational wealth with this shit.
But I got to disagree with that. I unless you show me some numbers that I can understand, right? I can't believe that sales are down. I can believe that more people are shopping online than in brick and mortar stores. So as from a business aspect, it's if people are buying online, is it relevant now to keep this store open at what it costs versus what we're saying that? But as far as sales going down,
look at stores like Macy's.
We spend as a
look at stores like Macy's. Macy's is closing down to 500, another 1,000.
Again, you missed it. That's a brick and mortar store. Again, that doesn't mean the sales are down. That just means that people are doing more shopping online than walking into the actual store.
To a degree,
I think to a degree. But I will say that the economy is, people aren't spending as aggressively as they have. People aren't spending money the way they used to. Everybody's trying to sort of be risk adverse right now. But for the better or for worse of it, people of color, we do have, we have the most disposable income out of anybody on the planet right now. You think about the Latino community, you think about the Black community, and is it disposable income? Nah, but sometimes that's just burning a hole in your pocket, and you want to go out there and do your thing.
That's what I'm saying. What's the GDP on the Black dot? I said $3 trillion a year. How is that?
But that's what I'm saying. But that's us. That's us.
That is us. That is us.
But everybody's buying clothes. Everybody's buying. There's certain things that no matter what, hear me out. There's certain things that no matter what we are going through, people are still going to spend money on. You understand what I'm saying? So all I'm saying is, if there's a decline, I'm just saying where and how big is that margin, where you're like, oh, it's a decline. You understand what I'm saying? Like, people are shopping like it's no tomorrow.
Well, I brought up the example of Nike. Nike brand digital sales dipped 3% year over year from the third quarter of fiscal 2023 to 2024. 3%? That's a big dip, bro.
That's a big number.
It's a big number at the numbers they're talking, bro.
But that's Nike. Again, let's use that. Nike.com, right? Nike.com is home of the Jordan, the Barclays, etc., the phone pockets. That just means people might not be buying it from Nike. That doesn't mean they're not buying Nikes, because with all these other stores out there, perfect example, a dope sneaker comes out. What do you got to do? Go on a raffle, got them, or you missed out. Now, if you can't get it from Nike.com and you still want that shoe, are you not going to get that shoe? No, you're going to get that shoe. You're going to go to GOAT. You're going to go to what's the other one that people go to? StockX. Yeah. You understand? You're gonna go to Vic at the Hut. But
using that example, that's not beneficial for Nike. It doesn't matter. Do you think Nike gives a fuck? It's beneficial from the brand.
Nike.
Nah, it's not from a revenue standpoint.
That's digging into Nike's pockets.
That's dipping into their pockets. They have a whole market of resellers that they're not seeing money from.
That's picking Nike's pockets.
But hold on, if I create the sneaker for price X and I sell it for price Y, now. I don't know the resale market of if you're buying it in bulk as a wholesaler, what the margins are from you getting it, but they still, if it's an original, they still have to buy it from Nike. No? Am I losing something here?
Well, you got to think about inventory. like Nike, Nike works with big numbers as far as inventory.
Right.
And that's a lot of inventory that's just sitting there. So Nike banks on, this Jordan 1 selling blah, blah, blah. So their inventory's through the roof. That shit doesn't make it. But what happens is that somebody buys it and then StockX gets it and it's resell. So that's one shoe that went to 3 different buyers when there's 3 pairs but now there's 3 pairs of Jordan 1s on Nike shelves. So it's a surplus of inventory that they just can't keep up with.
That's it. So it looks good. Like I'm saying, it still hit the 3%, bro, just on e-com from $1 billion business, a multi-billion. That's a big hit, bro. Some jobs are being lost because of that.
No. I'm not disagreeing. I'm just as a business person, when Jordans first came out back in your day, Adan, 94, right? So you can relate to this. Back in 94, when Jordans came out, they would come out in maybe 2 colorways and not at the same time. One style, one colorway, and if you were lucky, 6 months later, another colorway. That was it. There was no like retro. There was none of that. You understand? Because that's when I was buying Jordans, right? So now I'm just, like I said, I'm just saying to myself, like, you did that on purpose, right? You created that scarcity. You deliberately didn't make enough pairs for everybody to have them. That's what keeps them boosted up, because you create only a certain amount of inventory that you know is going to sell out. What's the difference to now? If you're a $1 billion corporation and you know all of these resellers exist, then just don't, you're flooding the market with too many colorways and things of that nature. Don't come out with so many. Don't make so many. If you know
that's the problem. They saturated the market, and by saturating the market, consumers lost interest. That's why. So you thinking about it, like, by saturating the market, consumers lost interest.
Right.
And now they've got a shitload of inventory that's sitting in shelves, and they're not selling them.
And selling them for pennies on the dollar. They're sending them to the factory, selling them to the resellers. A reseller buys it, puts them on ice for a year or two. Oh, nobody can get these now, and now I'm going to sell them for $400 or $500, bro. My Kobe's alone. Soon as Kobe Bryant passed away, bro, I've got them from Marshalls for $75. They're $2,500 right now.
I believe it.
$2,500.
Yeah. That's right. But that's what I'm saying.
Nike ain't getting that 25.
All I'm saying is this, right? I'm pretty sure Nike has people a lot smarter than me business-wise that have been doing this a lot longer. I'm just saying, for me, I'm a business major. That's just not good business acumen. If I know I make more money at scarcity, then I'm going to keep it at scarcity. Why? If you go to any business school, right? One of the first things they teach you is understanding how much inventory to make, when to make it, and how to price it out based on the market. These macro and micro knowledge. You understand what I'm saying, Adan? Like, I studied this shit. So if you know, if I only make 3 pizzas, I'm gonna sell out all 3 pizzas. Yeah, but and you understand why I make 20 pizzas and then have 17 extra.
Well, where Nike fucked up is that it went from scarcity to the illusion of scarcity. You got them on the sneakers app now, and you're trying to tell people they got a time window to get a pair of sneakers, and you lose that time window. Okay, they're gone, but they're not gone. I know you've got them, motherfuckers. I know that there's inventory of them. So it's just like, so they went from scarcity to an illusion of scarcity, right, to bring the price up on shit. That's where they fucked up. You know, you're better off just making those sneakers available, because people will buy them. By creating that illusion of scarcity, you created a demand, but then people just went elsewhere.
But now, how you blaming yourself? See, so you caused the effect. You did something. Something. Not us.
Why they got that 3%. But that's why they got that 3% drop in sales.
Right. That's your fault. Yeah, that's your fault. But that,
how many brands do that shit? They all do.
But look, once again, like, so again, I'm just thinking business wise. Can we look at that as a true value of lost commerce? Because you did something you wasn't supposed to do and did not get the outcome that you knew you weren't going to get. And now you're saying, yeah,
they did it now. First of all, who know back then when you used the example of 94, there wasn't even a resale market.
No,
have already started that.
Yes, it was.
There was a resale market.
It was but not a major to what it is today.
Nowhere near what it is today.
StockX where it's a $1 billion brand.
No.
Back then, there was a resale market. It was like the little Korean.
It was the mom and pop store. It was mom and pop store, right? So perfect example, right, Jarrett? Sammy's, right? Like a place like Sammy's, right? The clothing stores that were popular in our neighborhoods, they sold the sneakers. You understand? So like you said, no, was it a StockX and all that? No, absolutely not. But again, I'm just thinking about, because when we give this information out to people, I just like to give them a clear and concise understanding of what they are consuming, right? So when we say like, oh, it's a dip, and they're like, oh, people ain't spending money, I'm just, you know what I mean? I just want to give them all the information, like, nah, motherfuckers are spending money, but you even as Nike, as a billion-dollar brand, can make bad business decisions that will ultimately affect your bottom line. You understand what I'm? That's all. You know what I mean? What you think?
Agreed.
Yeah, that's all I was saying. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
No, I get you on that.
that's all I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
You understand? Like, don't cry about there being a shortage when you oversaturated the market and did that shit on, and you did it to yourself.
Did that shit on purpose.
Yeah, you did that shit on purpose because you bet that it was going to do something and it just backfired on you. So I think when they say, and again, we don't know the exact numbers, but if they say a 3% drop, I also think that they project numbers. They project numbers before they actually. So if I drop a Jordan 1 or a phone posit, I know it's exclusive. I expect it to make this. I'm going to put those projected numbers out based on what the previous models did, especially if it's exclusive, right? And especially if it's something like, look, what's the biggest resale? Friends and family, right? Those exclusive pairs that only 200 of them shits are made, right? You know what I mean? Like those type of shoes, like. So if you went back to that, you would sell out all your inventory, and then you would kind of cut out that resale market, not to whereas it doesn't exist, but to the fact of whereas it doesn't affect your bottom line.
It's so many different variables. There's so many different SKUs. There's so many different audiences, different markets. There's so many territories. It's a lot of fucking things you have to factor in with that. But like, I do want to get off that. I do want to ask you. I know we coming up, bro. Yo, I want to talk about Blackweek. Right, because can you tell the people how Blackweek formulated and tell us a little bit about the event too, bro? Because I want to know more about it. I'm actually excited about this. More than title, we need to be on there. You know what I'm saying? We need exclusive coverage, bro. We're gonna do that.
I would never buy a pair of phone posits, by the way. I believe that those are Nike's ugliest sneakers ever made.
The phones?
The phone posits,
bro, those are the most durable Nike ever.
Durable. The phone posits is the greatest shit to the poor kid.
Yo,
you could keep them shits for 8 years, 10 years, and just wipe
6 seasons.
That's a fact.
It was
no crease in the toe.
Yo, the whole thing looks like a wrinkle, like a whole ass crease. It look. You ever seen someone's bald head with all those wrinkles on it? That's what the phone posits look like. I just can't fuck with them.
You don't like the play posit either.
So Blackweek came about. Like all of us, we've all been to conferences where you don't really learn anything, and nobody's really talking about sort of what happens after the conference. Everything that happens after the conference is up to the individual, whether it's beneficial to you or not. And, we went to this thing in LA where it was supposed to be, influencers, and it's supposed to be learn some shit and learn from others, like you in the industry. So it was me, Walt, Dre, Joe, a couple other folks. And we went there and we're sitting there and we're like, fuck, we're the most influential people in here. This is bullshit. So we just got tired of going to these conferences and not learning and not understand and like not really benefiting from it. And then Joe Anthony, he was just like, all right, fuck it, let's just do Blackweek. And we're like, yeah, let's look into it. And he's like, all right, well, next week show up here. We got a photo shoot. It's just like, so Joe just hit the gas on it. And it's like, fuck it, we're just gonna do it because he's right. We wouldn't have been able to start it if we didn't just dive in. So, the reality. So to me, I call it, for me, it's a conference with purpose. It's an economic forum, and it just talks to exactly what we're talking about is the economic power that we have as people of color. And whether that's as consumers or whether that's as leads of agencies or leads of departments or what have you, we are able to impact how much our industry generates. We're able to impact how much people make for sort of their efforts. When you talk about, people of color being underpaid, we're able to impact that because we want to be able to educate folks of how much you should be getting paid. And, for us, for people of color, how much you get paid is voodoo. You don't talk about that shit. Message. You don't share that information.
Never, yeah.
But what happens if we're like, fuck it, this is what you should be making. This is what you're doing. This is the effort that you're putting into it. This is what This is what you should be making. So it's an economic forum, but it's also Blackweek is also about results. The goal of Blackweek is like 4 months after Blackweek to show what results we've had, to show what impact we've had, to show that these people got hired, to show that these people figured out how to put together you know, we are going to be talking to younger people coming in there of how to be a bulletproof candidate for a job. You know, you hear the industry talking about, oh man, it's so hard to find, you know, the right people of color, and it's bullshit because you're not looking in the right places, or, you know, something as easy as a job description. You're already keeping the people of color out of this job because you're saying that you need 10 years of the experience, but I can't get that experience because I haven't been gifted that way in. You need this much of education. Well, my scenario didn't allow me to get that much of education. So even something as simple as a job description discriminates against us and sort of kills us and chops us off at our legs. Message is all about sort of bringing light to all of that. And again, yes, it's the economic forum, but it's also about creating individuals and creating more connections and creating a conference with results. And you know that we have a health stage, we have the economic stage, we have all these stages that talk about everything that impacts us, but more so it's really exposing how much impact we really have that we are not taking credit for, or we're just afraid to take the reins on it. Because we do have that impact. Everything that we talked about, everything that we just talked about, you know, in gist and talking about economic spending power, this and that, and you know, buying power, we can impact that directly because we understand these consumers more than anybody does. You know, and we can, if you get us in the room, we can move the needle on the economy for corporations, but for ourselves, and we can make sure that we're sitting at the table. Or we can help build another table because we might not want to sit at that fucking table.
The scream baby for that one. For real.
Baby.
That was real, bro. But I like what goes, because we also have a lot of people too, bro, that talk about event make. We also had a brother come on, Jamal Jones, shout out to the bro. He did an event at the Fifth Serve Forum in the Milwaukee Bucks Stadium and stuff like that. So you guys are doing it in the Javits Center. Like, what goes in, because you guys are not event planning, what goes into it logistically to pull off an event at this scale? Like, you know?
We're actually doing it in Tribeca. And it's honestly, it's daunting because you're talking to a bunch of individuals that work in the industry, not a bunch of individuals that put on events.
Exactly.
But now we have a steering committee now. You know, we have Gary V that's on our steering committee. We have more people that have joined our steering committees that are helping us. They're sort of navigate the world that we sort of jumped into. And it is, believe it or not, it's something that, I'm trying to see. So the idea of it is that we want to get people out there. We want to get more people involved, but the reality is that that's just not who we are as individuals. You know, we have Cindy Gallup, who's a huge voice for women in the industry. You know, she's on our steering committee and she's helping us figure out, okay, how to navigate that world. Gary V, this is something that he does. He's helping us figure out how to navigate in that world. There are people that are coming in and all they're asking for is to be a part of that conversation. But honestly, they're helping us push the conversation forward as well. So we're working with them. They're educating us. We're all learning. It's tough because, you know, it's coming up in October, mid-October, but we're all learning. It's a week after Ad Week. You know, Advertising Week is happening and everybody will be in town. So right after Advertising Week, you could come up and join us in at Blackweek. It's going to be, you know, it's going to be powerful. There's a lot of powerful conversations that are going to be happening, but it's all very, you know, it's curated really carefully as far as who's participating, because we want to make sure that you can't just buy your way in to be on that stage. We want to make sure that if you are paying, then you have to come to the table and we have to work together to talk about what your panel is going to look like, what we're going to hit on that panel, because we want to make sure that people that are coming in, they're collaborating with us. They're not coming in to just sort of speak for their own benefit. They're collaborating with us because we have to speak for the benefit of the community.
That's a fact, man. I would love two things, bro. Like, first of all, I would love to interview Cindy Gallup. So if you're not familiar, Chad, her fucking LinkedIn is, I'm the Michael Bay of business. You know, I'll blow shit up and fuck shit up. I'm like, oh shit. LinkedIn title.
I love that tagline. Shit,
motherfucking LinkedIn title, yo. She's super. She's a beast, bro.
Yo,
So I would love to have her on.
She's a beast, and she pulls cards. She pulls cards like a poker dealer. She's just like.
She's a beast like that. I would love, like, I've seen a lot of her interviews and stuff like that too, bro. But I would also love to cover it, bro. Like, I ain't gonna lie, I spoke to Walt about it. I would love for us to cover it because once again, or any way we can help, because we just did a panel on LinkedIn, bro, about the lack of corporate investment in Black media, bro. Like us telling our stories, right? If we didn't have the investment and shit that we were and were successful in our normal 9 to 5, how would we be able to sustain this shit without sponsorship? Without monetizing the page and shit like that. So we had that conversation. We had Jay Alexander, Fubu, Malik Yoba was a special guest. We had Doug Melville. Shout out to Doug, who's a big in the DEI space. So anyway,
he was at TWA for a while.
No, he worked at Magic Johnson's. Bro, he's a beast. That's the bro. I actually just spoke to him today. He's got a DEI platform coming out, but Jody AI. So any way we can help, but I think for me, bro, what value I would like to provide to that audience is they got to see us, man, because I was sitting in the couch, didn't even come from this space. And look who we talking to now. Look at the circles that we've reached, right? How do you build a business? How do you create content for yourself where leads are coming to yourself and you ain't got to be sending 1,000 cold emails, right? How do you build that inbound engine? So that's the shit I would love to do, bro. If I can help in any way, shape, or form, just let us know, man. We'll be there. We're going to be there anyway.
Definitely. Bro. I think that we got to talk about it because we, like I said, we're putting this together, but we're doing this, we're going into a world that not all of us are familiar with, but we've got the support and we've got everybody reaching out to see like, okay, what do you need?
What do you need?
Help? But, and we're now gathering all of that together to make sure that we pull it off. Do we need coverage on the day? Fuck yes, we need coverage on the day because it's going to be challenging.
Absolutely.
There's going, you got to think about it. It's 3 floors, 5 stages. It's going to be challenging to try to create a concise story of Blackweek, post Blackweek, just because of all the activity that's going to happen. And again, a lot of this has to do with results. So we want to make sure that we capture everything so that we can sort of put it out there and pay off on the promises that we made.
Absolutely. I would recommend both, bro. I would recommend you guys doing some sort of, definitely got to get all the panel content and all that stuff so you can repurpose, send it out to your newsletter team. I mean, your newsletter list and all that stuff. But also, I would love to cover it from the crowd. You guys are going to be in there doing the event, right? Me and Cuzzo are going to be shaking hands, kissing babies. You know what I'm saying? We're going to be in the crowd moving and shaking and shit. And what is that experience like? You know
that's why I keep chapstick. We kiss a lot of babies. A lot of babies.
I thought it was because of the hookah.
Yeah, right? I was going to hit him with a whoa. I didn't like the chapstick put on as he said the kiss.
Listen, man. That's
my dog.
I wanna just say, salute to you guys, man, once again, for daring to push the needle forward. And you made a comment that I want to just go back on. I forget the gentleman's name that you was like, yeah, we'll talk about it. He's like, nah, fuck that. Photo shoot next week, huh?
Joe Anthony, right?
Oh, Joe Anthony.
Perfect. Yeah. We preach that sometimes as well. Not as much as we should, but we preach that also about like, yo, the time is now. The time is now. The time is now. Yes, you can plan. Yes, you can do your research, but get started, man. Because too many of us, I believe, have phenomenal. I'm gonna say it again. Phenomenal ideas in every lane that could push this culture forward, but we are unsure of ourselves. We don't have the right support systems. You doubt yourself so much that these ideas end up going to the wayside. And then you know what happens? 5-10 years later, you see your fucking idea that somebody else come out, blow it up.
Being in the creative industry,
the
one thing that we used to say coming up all the time, and I still say it, is ideas belong to the people that execute them. It does not matter what you said, what you did, or how many emails you got, or how many sketches you have. Ideas belong to the one who executed it.
That's going on the quote card too. Just know, ideas belong to the people who executed them. That's going on the motherfucking quote card. What a nice instrumental.
So you can, but the thing is, like, you can beef about it all you want, but when someone's tried to, and Joe Anthony did that. He took that step forward. He's like, fuck that. Like, let's just go. And we'll figure it out as we're going. And, sort of going at it that way, it lit a fire under everybody. And now we're all focused on, that finish line. And we have to make it happen and we have to make it impactful. And it's something that, yes, is it daunting? Yes. But, you know, we're there now, and we're, you know, not only are we up on stage, you know, figuratively, but also, you know, actually we're going to be up on stage. So a lot of it is you know, it's something that, you know, he sort of pushed us off into the butt with the bungee cord, but we're soaring and we're flying, and we're getting a lot of support and a lot of, you know, from everybody across the industry. Everybody's reaching out and they want to be a part of it.
How are your companies that you're working with now supporting? Just curious, are they on deck? Like, are they willing to give sponsorship money?
Yeah, everybody's on deck. Like, you know,
fire.
I work at Razorfish. They're on deck. You know, everybody's on deck, and everybody's, you know, one way or another, there's going to be presence, you know, a presence for, you know, for who we work with and who we work for.
Yeah,
you can't beat that, yo.
You know what?
That's a
to play devil's advocate, like, I think it needs to be daunting. I think it needs to really push you, stress you out, so that you respect what you are doing and you understand what it took to create this thing, so that you give it your all. Another thing about our people, and it's like a double-edged sword, man. It's like raising kids, right? You become successful and you want to give your children everything you feel like you didn't have, right? But there's a downside to that, because they didn't go through the struggles that you went through to get it. They don't value it the same way. And I think that's the balance in our culture, where we are really struggling to try to not only provide a certain thing, but show people that it's not easy to create success, right? Stop thinking that success is overnight, and stop thinking that, you know, you can see people and you think they became famous overnight, but you don't know that background story before they became visible to you. So I think you gotta go through it, man.
You gotta go through it. I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I say it's daunting, and it is, but it is, to your point, it's going to be memorable, and it makes me double down on my focus, and it makes me double down on my effort. You know, my daughters all saw me. You know, my daughters grew up, you know, watching daddy in front of the computer at 9 p.m. and then waking up at 7 a.m. and daddy's still in front of the computer. So they understand all the work that I put into this. And, you know, and now my oldest daughter, she's a freelance stylist. My middle daughter's wrapping up her junior year at Parsons School of Design. And my youngest daughter just became a licensed esthetician. So, you know, they understand what that hustle is. And you know, and I'm proud of them. You know, not, you know, my mountains were my mountains, and they, you know, gladly, and you know, they will never have to face my mountains. But that's why I work so hard. And I don't want them to ever face my mountains. You know, I want what I consider a molehill to be their mountain, because that's going to build their character.
That's a L, man.
Yeah.
Message.
Yeah, bro. I don't even. I'm trying to think if I have any more questions, bro. But I just feel like, because one thing we want to do, bro, with the interviews, and I feel like we did a good job with it in this interview, is get to know the person behind the title, bro. We went through your creative works, we went through the business aspect, we went through everything, bro. And like, I appreciate you.
I feel like we were in the basement talking. Like, we opened up, and I said that, you know, the conversation has to flow and it has to be authentic, because, you know, you can see when someone's not coming authentic, and someone just, like, you can see right through that. And it's just, you know, we've all seen it, and you're both nodding your head yes, but you know, especially where we're from, we can read that shit easily. Like,
energy,
you
know, sense that shit.
The first 30 seconds, you just read it, and you're like, and you move past it. So I appreciate the time, man.
I got one more question for you, and it's about cons.
Oh shit, yeah.
It's about cons. So we talk about the access to information. So before I got with my cousin and we started this journey, I only knew about one cons, right? Which is the film festival. I didn't even know about the Festival for Creativity. Now, how do we, so if I didn't know about it, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of other people that don't know about it, right? So how do we start getting now this message out there more, right? This message out there more, that there is also another cons other than the film festival that I think kind of gets most of the attention, to bring more awareness to this type of a festival and show why it's important and why we should know about it as a culture?
I think that, I mean, we have to start with the individuals that are coming into this industry, and have them understand what the goal is, what they're shooting for. Like, you know, you come into this industry and you want to do good work, Your goal shouldn't be to create a Super Bowl spot. Your goal should be to sort of get the accolades and the respect from your peers. And that's what the Cannes Lions does. It gives people access to you. So I think that your goal should be, how do I create a name for myself here in this industry? You know, whether you're an art director, whether you're a copywriter, whatever path you're taking as a designer, your goal should always be, okay, so how do I fortify my name in this industry? And part of that is through the awards. So we have to first educate and create good habits. And from good habits, then we have to we have to educate people on what these goals should be, what they should be shooting, what those stars that they should be shooting for really are. Because, you know, to your point, we don't know what we don't know. I didn't know that I could make it. I had no idea someone was going to pay me for having a good idea, you know. You know, my father owned a grocery store and a liquor store, and I thought I was going to grow up and own a grocery store and a liquor store. That's not my path. That wasn't what happened. But I didn't know that I can do this, and I didn't know I had access to this world. So now that we do, we just have to, we have to keep educating. I used to bring my daughters on set every time I shot because I wanted them to understand that creativity can create a path for you forward. So all it is like we have to just keep educating, and people that are coming into the industry, make sure that we're having the right conversations with them, that it isn't about chasing that bag. You know, it's about creating a reputation for yourself. You know, the money's going to come when that reputation gets big.
That's real, man. That's why. Okay, you going this year too, bro? You going to this year to the festival?
Yeah, I'll be there.
All right, so we will be in the building, my brother. I can't wait to see y'all, man. We definitely gonna make sure we link up with you, man, support you. If you go on stage or something like that, let us know a time and all that, so we come through, support, and we'll make it happen, bro. But like, we really enjoyed this shit.
I definitely will. And again, thank you for the platform. Thank you for including me in this conversation. And congratulations on all the success and the growth that you guys have been experiencing with this, man. You guys it's a snowball. It's gonna keep going.
Yeah, we appreciate it. And you know, we want to say also, you know, now that you've come on the show, welcome to the More Than the Title family.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Welcome to the More Than the Title family. Like to do we have Adan's personal?
No, if you can put it in the private chat, bro, we definitely need that.
So what we like to do, Adan, right after the show with all of our guests, is we like to create a group chat between us and the guests. That way we have a direct, open lines of communication. So now that you're a part of the family, there's over 100 guests that have been on this show. If you come across somebody that you would like to get introduced to, and you know what I mean, network with, don't know, you let us know, and we will be glad to make that introduction, because we don't gatekeep. We believe in connecting like-minded individuals, and that's what we do, right? So if you could put your number in that, and also, you know, I look forward to meeting you in person, man. We always extend the invite that if you're in New York, you know, meeting up in person, because the energy is just completely different in person. You know what I mean? But you know, I second my cousin's saying, man, we would love to be a part in any aspect of the event, even if we're only in attendance. I would, you know, show up and just show my support, because support, whether we're on stage or in the crowd, or support. So we just want to show you that, you know, we got your back, and you know, we would love to come down and support you, brother, in anything that you do.
Word, man. Appreciate it. And we will be talking further on that. Appreciate it, man.
Let's make it happen, bro. And just if you could put it in the private chat. And for everybody, all the listeners, shout out to the Instagram, shout out to the YouTube channel, man. We appreciate y'all for rocking. This Thursday, we got Carrie Ann Benton Stinson. She's the CMO, one of Jamaica's largest banks right now.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. We're going to take it to the island. One.
That's my sister. I got no money.
no money, no honey.
Yeah,
but we're in the building, man. So shout out to everybody. We're gonna see y'all next week. Adan, man, shout out to you, bro. Thanks for another episode of More Than Title. We out of here, dude. Yes,
about me, seen it all, heard it all. Oh, what you know about me?